What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Social Media Mindset. And I'm so pumped for today because I get to hear a lot of what you're going to hear for the first time, for myself for the first time, because here's how this couple showed up on this podcast. I got invited to Austin. And, being from Texas, the weirdos are in Austin. So you never know what you're being invited to when you go there. And I walk in and, when people are like, dude, come to this event, it's going to be cool. A lot of events that I walk into are way less cool than they were told they would be. But I walk in, guys, and there are hundreds of people in this room that love each other, that are celebrating one another, that are running in the same direction. And it's always a direct reflection on the leadership. When you get into these rooms and you're feeling the mojo and the environment is high energy. And so I just had to get these people on. So for those of you that don't know who SHAWN and LACEY are, I don't think I've ever had two doctors on at the same time. So this is breaking records for the Social Media Mindset podcast. But SHAWN and LACEY, thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait for the value that you bring to the table. I just appreciate you guys being here.
Wow, thank you so much for having us. I love the title, the Social Media Mindset, because there's so many, forums where people are dropping like tactical stuff.
Right.
And mindset is everything. I love it because, you could just say, hey, post this way, say this, caption that, do this. But, so many people, they never even get to that. They never even get to that point because of mindset. So thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dude, I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I have a 14-day-old baby in the other room. I haven't slept in 2 weeks, but I am so pumped for this moment. So I'm going to go fall asleep for 3 days after this is over. I want to know y'all's story because y'all are so fascinating. I'm a member of the Black Diamond Club. I'm in the Facebook group. I watch the live YouTube trainings. And so I'm beginning to get this DNA inside of my body. And I'm just so fascinated by you guys. And so can we kind of go back to how did all this happen?
You're the storyteller.
I'm the storyteller. Oh, okay. Well, it depends on how far back you want to go. But I mean, ultimately, I guess SHAWN and I's story began for about 14 years ago.
Okay.
And we tell people all the time, it was not like we just woke up and had this great idea about building a community and, helping service providers. In fact, we are chiropractors by profession. And so 13 years ago, we had a chiropractic office out in California. And at that time, SHAWN had just gone through kind of a nasty partnership dissolution. And we were really just trying to get on our feet. And like many people out there, we really were struggling with making ends meet. At that time, we were living in a 625 square foot apartment.
Wow.
We had 2 kids with us and literally could not afford a mattress for our girls to sleep on. And everybody talks about when they're talking about our story, the thing that they remember most is we had this green couch. And it wasn't even like a full green couch. It was a corner of like a sectional that somebody gave to us because they were moving. And that's what our girls slept on during that time. And it was one of those moments where it was just like, you had to figure things out. And so we, fast forward a couple of years, we had started a chiropractic franchise and we're really working to build a business model that was based on business fundamentals, not just the skill set of the individual. And people love what we were doing, and literally it caught fire. And that's how we fell into the Black Diamond Club and creating a community of service providers that were looking to better themselves and their businesses to be able to reach more people. And that's kind of where it all started.
SHAWN, you want to add anything to that?
I know he's like, his wheels are turning right now.
She's the storyteller. She's the storyteller. I don't know. That's where it started. And then, we've been super fortunate to grow. We've been super fortunate to encounter some key instrumental relationships that have helped to propel us even further. It's just been a super blessed ride.
Not always easy though. Like you talk about mindset. I think that's the biggest thing is not only do we have to work on our own mindsets to be able to get where we are, but we had to learn to understand each other's, which is very difficult too.
Oh,
right?
gosh.
Yeah.
No doubt. I wasn't ready to turn this into a relationship episode, but we could totally go that route because it's wild.
It's your show. Wild. You can make it whatever you want.
That's true. I'm the boss. We're going to do whatever I want. I feel like there might be a book in there called like the green couch effect or something.
You know, it's
I don't
funny.
know.
Just side, then you might say this isn't where I want to go either.
Yep.
I was speaking in Scotland just last week, and I know AI is like the big. Everybody's talking about AI, so I asked Chat GPT to write my talk, and it did an okay job. But it was interesting. Like, it was giving me some stories. It was telling me about Michael Jordan. It had told me about the Beatles. And so I literally asked Chat GPT, I said, well, we should add a story in there about the green couch. And the AI literally just made up a story
About us.
It was about us,
couch.
but it wasn't accurate. So one
Oh
of the
my
things I
gosh.
think is super interesting about AI, like you can't always trust this. So there could be a book, but we got to make sure that I had to go back and look at what AI had said. And I was like, wait, this isn't even true. So you got to be careful with your AI sometimes.
You 100% do. And I got to say, I was DMing with James because I saw his picture on the bridge at St. Andrews. It was at St. Andrews, I think.
Yep.
And gosh, I haven't been that jealous in a long time.
Yes, it was quite the adventure. We were at we held a mastermind with our good friend David Meltzer in the Kinross house, which is literally, it's the property where Queen Anne, is that right? Queen Mary was held captive, like literally right behind this place where we held our mastermind. Is absolutely beautiful. Then we played some golf on either side of the mastermind, and then I spoke at an event. Yeah, it was truly awesome. If anybody, any of your listeners ever wants to get involved with us on any of those, just reach out. We'd love to share the information on the next ones that we're doing.
Yeah, of course. Well, that was part of why I wanted to do this, because I want to make sure that all my people know who you guys are, because there's so much value to be had. What would you say what was the biggest takeaway from the mastermind in Scotland last week?
Well, I'll say the takeaway, and I'll let Lacey build on it, because she was the one that was really providing the value to the attendees on this. When we went around the room at the beginning of the mastermind and we asked the people kind of what their big need was in business, overwhelmingly, more than half of them said the words, "I'm in a state of transition." Like, everybody was saying, like, I'm in a state of transition. I'm in a state of transition. And it's interesting because, when you talk about mindset, the mindset of being in a state of transition, the reason why that's hard is like you're moving from one thing to the next. And then Lacey had some phenomenal insights, but I think that I think that for all of your listeners, I hope that everybody's in a state of transition, right? And maybe not. Maybe after Lacey talks to you, you will use new words. But of course, that's why you seek out guidance, right? That's why, if you're trying to be better, you're trying to grow, then you are in a state of transition. That's why somebody would listen to your podcast, is you're in a state of transition. But obviously, for me as a facilitator in the mastermind, the understanding that this state of transition is a scary thing, that the state of transition is fearful and can oftentimes paralyze people, ultimately stopping you from getting to your destination or your destiny, if that's the case. And so Lacey dealt with that, and man, people just were raving about your answer.
I think that was the biggest thing, because this is something I had been working on myself. So it was great timing that people were talking about this, but it wasn't even that they were utilizing the words, "I'm in a state of transition." What they were saying is, I'm trying to transition and I'm not there yet and need help.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that most people, there's like a massive resistance within that thought process and that word transition, because people actually feel like in order to go to where they're trying to go and transition, they have to leave something behind. And to a lot of people, when you put time, energy, effort, money into something else, you don't want to just cut it off and let it go. And so my realization for me was that I wasn't transitioning. I was actually looking to expand. And in expansion, you have room for all the things. You don't have to actively participate in cutting everything off in order to transition into the next phase. You can expand outward and into bigger and better things. So once people just had that mindset shift and perspective, it was really easy for them to be like, okay, now I have relief and I can energetically let that go, but I don't have to do anything else, and I can expand into what I'm going after.
That's so good. I feel like that's a word for me right now, because I've been at home for going on 3 weeks with our baby, and my wife had a C-section. So I'm trying to be around even more because she's very limited in what she can do. And a buddy texted me an hour ago and was like, "Bro, how are you?" I was like, do I give him the like, "We're great" answer? Or because he's a real friend, do I go, actually, like, I'm not doing awesome.
Right.
Like, it's it's a weird season. And so I've felt a lot of transition type thoughts.
Right.
And now I can see, like, by just giving the word expansion to those thoughts, it doesn't make me feel like I suck as bad as as maybe I think I do.
Right.
Because I'm not trying to
Absolutely.
remove anything and add something else.
Yep.
I'm just adding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
and
that's
your
huge.
family's growing, right? Your family's growing.
Your family's expanding, your skill set's expanding, your love and your heart is expanding. And that's like, it's not always easy, but expansion's not always easy.
I love this thing too. I'll share with you from our podcast. One of our guests recently was telling me that he was around some Navy SEALs. And I think maybe like for you, entering into fatherhood, he was saying that
Not sleeping for 3 days straight. How long did you say? Yeah.
It feels
I
like
don't
butt
know.
straight.
I think it's
Navy
like
SEAL-esque.
a year, going on a year now, or at least.
So the guy was saying that the Navy SEALs told him that becoming a Navy SEAL was simple. It's not easy. It's simple. Becoming a father is simple. It's not easy. So you're in that season too. Look, expansion is simple. It's not easy. Lacey and I are consultants, coaches. We deal with a lot of very simple concepts that just aren't easy. And I think, for you too, you're living through that.
Yeah.
Maybe even part of that, like, do I share, where I'm at, the sort of the dirty version of it, but that's not even that negative. It's just,
Right.
That's the hard version, but it's still simple, right? But that's the hard work that you have to put in, as a father, as a new mother, growing a family. That's the hard work that you put in, but still the work is simple, right? It's not rocket science. You're not confused. It's simple,
Right.
But it's not easy.
No, you're 100% right. I want to know how, because y'all have, I think you're over 800 members in Black Diamond Club.
700 members.
So 700 something members. And then on top of that, you run other businesses, you have a family. Everywhere I go and speak, right? I speak a lot about video content and getting yourself in front of the camera. And everybody's like, gosh, I'm just so busy. Like, where am I supposed to find time to do this stuff? None of my listeners are busier than you guys. Yet I was on both of your Instagrams today, and there is plenty of content that somehow you have found time to create. And so talk to the listener that's their first excuse. Like, I would do it, but I'm just really busy. When I'm less busy, then what's the advice to them?
Capture. If you're busy, you are already producing live content. I mean, look, frankly, right now we are producing content together. Yeah. And we're talking to you in our studio. And so there's a camera there and you're capturing the recording of this. If you hand that raw footage over to our team, they will chop that up and this is content. So it literally, it's what I call the compounding effect of time. So, people are always trying to manage their time better. That's why, I'm busy and I don't have time to make content. But there is the compounding effect of time. Everybody understands the compounding effect of money. So interest, compound interest. Many people understand the compounding effect of action. Just doing something 5 minutes a day is just as good as putting in an hour once a week, right? So you get that compounding effect. Well, the compounding effect of time says that if I am actually busy, all I need to do is capture. If I had a tripod and a camera that was set up on it, just recording me going around my busy day, that just becomes content. I don't have to necessarily, and James, who runs our content, is constantly stopping us, right? When you set out and you're like, I'm going to do content. So you get your phone and then you say, I'm going to talk about social media and why people should post more. You know what happens? Your voice goes like this. Hello, everybody. Shawn Dill here, and I want to talk to you about why you should be posting more. And James always tells us, like, that's not how you talk.
Yeah,
right.
That's not the right voice.
So good.
So just capturing content that's natural, and you just set up a camera and you're capturing yourself. So many people do something where they interact with clients. Even just capturing that's fascinating, right? So if I'm doing a coaching call and I'm just capturing myself doing a coaching call, the things that I'm saying are interesting to not just the person on the other end of the call, but also to the rest of the world. And it's anonymized and sterilized. Nobody knows who's on the other side of the phone,
right.
But the advice is good. Why not capture that and put that out on social media?
So good.
And
I agree.
I got to say this, though, because we're talking about mindset. I would actually encourage your listeners to take a moment to actually audit what their real issue is, because
Mm,
I don't think that being too busy is the actual problem that
yeah.
exists, because people will always find time for the things that they love. They will always make room and change things in their schedule and like shift things around to, go on a date night or be with their kids or hang out with their friends or whatever it may be. So too busy is oftentimes a crutch and a story that we tell ourselves in order to justify our avoidance for doing things that we don't understand or don't love to do. And so first thing is like, let's be honest. Like, what's the real reason that we're not putting content out there? What's the real reason that we're not capturing or scheduling, putting it in our schedule? And so I think that's always the first step. And look, we work with a lot of people and do have a lot of coaching clients that's actually the hang up. It's
Right.
not the schedule. It's not the calendar. It's not the time. It's I actually don't love doing it. And so like Shawn was saying, if you can find something that you love or you're passionate about that you're already living out and doing and just capture that, man, it becomes so much easier.
So it's so good. Do y'all remember back when like y'all started to be successful without video and then video showed up and all of a sudden
Yeah.
people are like, y'all got to get on video. You got to get in front of the camera. Were y'all very quick to be like, yeah, shove that camera in my face. I love this. Like talk me through like what that adoption was like.
I still hate it.
Well,
Like,
and I think that
it's real.
I think for me, I'm not like, oh, I love it. Like I wake up and I would be totally fine. Like is on the capture side, I'm not a big capturer. So we've had to create those mechanisms, right? So that I just can do my day and content gets captured. I was telling someone the other day, I think the biggest distinction for me from a mindset standpoint is, there's a lot of people that, especially the people that we run around, they say things that are controversial on social media. They get their accounts blocked. There's a lot of people that are like, wear that as a badge of honor. Oh, I was
Sure.
in, Facebook jail. And I'm like, well, you don't understand that, it's a private platform. And people are like, well, what about free speech? And I was like, well, look, you can go out on your front porch in your underwear and say whatever you want. That's free
Yeah.
speech.
My
But
wife
posting
hates when I do that.
but posting it on a platform, there are terms and conditions, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
there's rules to this. And here's what I told one of my clients. I said, I think you need to understand that social media is a tool. It's not a platform. It's a
Yeah.
tool. So when it dawned on me that there was a mechanism, a way that we could communicate our message to many people, just putting just stuff out there and reach people that we would never reach. Right now, we are in the middle of a challenge that we're running. It's called the Book Yourself Solid Challenge. And as a part of that, we had offered, and we can do the same, we can put in the notes for your audience, we had offered a free copy of our Amazon best-selling book, None of Your Business. All these people signed up to receive it and they were in the challenge, but we don't know them. We haven't met
Sure.
them. And we started to go into fulfillment on sending these books. And there's books going to India and Australia and Europe. And what that does is it opens my eyes to the fact that this tool allows us to talk to people in India. So why would I
Right.
not want that, right? Like I feel a moral obligation. Like the reason why we do shows and have relationships like with you is because it allows us to talk to other people. So if one person that listens to your podcast is like, hey man, that was great. It shifted my business. It helped me to reach more people. It allowed me to grow my business and provide for my family. Then the tool was well used. And
Right.
I think that that's all it is. If you think it's about you, so many people are like, well, I don't like my voice or I don't like how I look.
Well,
You don't understand the people that you stand in service to.
and I think
Yeah.
that that's like the most important component of it, because for everybody listening out there, like I hate being on camera. That is not my favorite thing to do. If James were here, he could chime in and tell you how much he has to chase me around to get content. Thank God for him. But the reality of it is it took me having a true understanding of what content could actually do for me in my business, how it impacted my life, how it impacted my ability to get my message out there. And I think a lot of people haven't landed on that understanding and don't have the clarity of here's what it really does for me and here's how it helps me get to my goals. That's why it's so hard to overcome that fear and that self-judgment.
Yeah. I think where a lot of people struggle with this is I don't think they can truly see the end game.
Yes.
They just go like, okay, so I'm going to overcome all these struggles to still get no viewership, to still not get new clients. How do you help your people inside of the Black Diamond Club like see the vision for what this can be if you will pursue that discomfort, overcome those quitting points? Because I think that's hard for a lot of people.
Well, saying it's a private platform and the monetization, the business of these social media platforms is that they give preference to those people who just put a tiny bit of money towards their content. The vanity metrics and the play for vanity metrics is so strong. Comparison syndrome. How many followers do you have? How many comments do you get? It's funny because people want engagement until they get engagement, because then when you get engagement, the engagement's not always nice.
Good. Yeah.
Well, then
Yeah,
people are saying
sure.
dumb things about you and you get upset, and then it creates the complex, and then you don't want to make content. I think the thing is that, I think that social media, what was so revolutionary about it is that it leveled the playing field. For so many years, it was a Super Bowl commercial, right? That's how you made it, when your company could have a 60-second Super Bowl commercial. Well, now with social media, your video, Kyle, is on the same playing field as Coca-Cola's, right? And so that's what is so great, is it really did level the playing field as far as marketing is concerned. It still is fairly leveled. When it first started, it was very equitable, but now it is still fairly level. And anybody even just getting started in that, they can leverage this to reach people. And I will also say, I think that in a local geo, so if you had a brick and mortar, if I was only trying to reach the people of Indianapolis, it's way easier to do that. The sophistication of the algorithms, the AI behind the platforms. You remember when you had to set up all these audiences, the age range. Now you don't even really need to do that, because the machines are so smart and so effective at doing the marketing for you, and it can be done literally for pennies.
It's so true. How do you coach your people? Because I know y'all started with chiropractors, and then now you've kind of expanded to just be service-based business. For the person that comes in and maybe they feel like they're tapped out, that like their friends and family are already coming, they've kind of exhausted their resources, right? But they need more clientele, they need more opportunity. What's that first piece of advice that you guys are giving to help them get on the road to more attraction?
Well, I'll say this, and believe me, I understand your audience, and I'm human, but I'm slightly immune to critique. This is my take on it. People can say I disagree. Number one, content. So we've got to capture, edit, and publish content. And I just tell people, let's start putting a lot of content out there. I like to put it on a page versus on a profile. And I always tell people, listen, when we're putting it on a page, we're not getting any help from the platform, so nobody's going to see it. But what we all will see is that, you're putting this content out there and we get 8 views and 20 views. And then we get this one piece of content that randomly gets 100 views. Well, let's take the winning content and then let's amplify. So number one is content. Number two is amplification. And once we go to amplification, if we're optimizing for through plays, video views, etc., we're building you an audience. And if I'm doing it in a local geo, I could saturate this market fairly quickly. And then the last part is conversion. Once the audience is built, now I can move into ads. And listen, along the way, I'm speaking for us too, you probably need help. You need to find people that are experts in this. I wouldn't say that you would try and solve this equation on your own. There's an entire team behind our social media strategy, everything from capture all the way to amplification and conversion. But it's the same thing. It's simple. It's not rocket science. It's simple, not easy, but it's simple. And so that's what I tell people. If you push your chips in on this, it's very easily winnable.
Yeah. And I was just add, I know that we're talking about social media, but as social media gets more competitive and there's more places where people are looking for answers. Yes, you have to have a ton of content out there, but especially if you're a newer business, I think that people underestimate the value of true human to human relationship. Right. So sometimes you got to get out from behind the camera and the keyboard and go out there and actually find partnerships and collaborations cooperative individuals and go out there and shake hands and kiss babies like old school style, because the reality of it is what stands a test of time, what crisis proofs our business, what drives business through our doors is other people. Right. And
So good.
we're always talking to people about, hey, you really got to figure out who in your community will help you grow your business and who can you help grow their business. Because there's a lot of people out there just like you.
So good. I love it. My last question, you guys, from my experience in Austin with y'all, right? I was there with 2 members of my team. We sat in the back corner of the room because we didn't really know anybody. And so many people just walked up to us and were like, hey, y'all are by yourself. Like, who are you guys? Watching, I've been to hundreds of events, watching and walking around and just seeing the way people interact with one another, watching the way you guys interact with the people in the room. What is it that allows what you guys are doing through the Black Diamond Club be different? What's different about you guys? Because right, there's a million coaching programs out there, but there was something different in that room in Austin.
I think our highest value in creating the group was always community and connection. One of the biggest rules when we started the group, actually, there was another group of service-based professionals out there, mostly chiropractors, and the group was just built on negativity, complaining, bashing others, saying a lot of things. We didn't personally like that. And so when we created the Black Diamond Club, one of the things that we wanted to do was make sure that it was a safe place for people to celebrate each other, no matter what stage they were in business. And so that has always been integral into our messaging, the way that the culture that we created, the people that we allow in, the ideal client that we go after. And so I think that alone, creating a group online where people felt safe to share, made them feel connected to each other without even meeting in person. So when they go to live events, man, the connection is amplified to another level like you don't experience anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure that you feel right at home as well, because they don't want any connection to, not happen.
Well, y'all are doing, y'all don't need me to tell you this, but y'all are doing an unbelievable job. It's been so fun to watch and to begin to be a part of. How do people get connected? Because I hope that my people are going to want to be a part of what you guys are doing. What's the best way for them to connect with you guys?
Well, there's two sort of landing points. One thing we didn't talk about, there's a New York Times bestselling book called Book Yourself Solid. It was authored by Michael Port many, many, many years ago. The brand was built. Maybe many of your listeners may remember that book. Lacey and I this year acquired that brand and that IP. Wow. And so bookyourselfsolid.com. You can find us there. And also, of course, Black Diamond Club, blackdiamondclub.com. You can find us there as well. And social media at Dr. Shawn Dill, at Dr. Lacey Book, LACEY. We love when people interact with us on social media. One of the things too, I think, when you're mentioning social media, just to throw in there, I think one of the keys is access. Content is one thing, but when people are trying to access you, you also need to be able to respond back to them. And so Lacey and I, we're not perfect, but we attempt to be as accessible as possible through social media. So reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
Y'all do a great job of it. Thank you for your time, for your wisdom. I hope this is just the first of more opportunity to rub shoulders with you guys. I can't wait to get this episode out to everybody. And so I appreciate y'all so much. Guys, if you didn't learn anything, you better rewind it and go listen again because you're deaf. I appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back next week with really cool people with even cooler stories. Probably not doctors, but I'll do my best. Bye, everybody.